Join us today as we talk about the next step in D&D One's playtesting, expert classes. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome any new folks who've decided to join us. Today we're going to be talking about the next step in the D&D playtesting, which focuses on what they're referring to as expert classes. In case you haven't read the little blurb or watched any of the videos or anything, no, these are not based on the skill level they think it takes for you to play these classes,
No,
which is what I initially thought when I watched the first video until they explained what they were.
yeah, it is literally class grouping of what they do,
Yeah, and
what they're supposed to be.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. So Chad's going to be doing most of the talking on this one because he's gone over this in a little bit finer detail than I have.
And I know the regular classes a little bit better than you do.
Sure.
At least the expert classes.
And so I would just want to give my thoughts on the presentation in the main video. I felt that it was better than the other video. There were several things that were said in this video that probably should have been said in the first video. Chief among them, that, let's see. I know one of the most important parts was, despite whatever it may appear, if we're to believe them, it's up to you, nothing in this is affected by any of the feedback they've received thus far. Although they did acknowledge that there is one particular element that, yes, they're quite aware that people have wide-ranging opinions on. The 20, the critical.
Yeah, the auto success and failure on everything.
Yeah, and so they acknowledge that, yes, they are aware that was a hot topic issue. But that does not affect anything in this. And in fact, they're still collecting all the data, and it's going to be sometime, I gathered it's going to be after the next group of playtest material before they really start digging into the response to the first group. So, a little behind the scenes things like that help. Gives us an idea of what they're going for as far as like their overall objectives. It makes it sound more like an actual playtest, which I've got the feeling they noted that several videos said that, yeah, this might just be a playtest in name only. So that's possibly why they
I believe
decided.
ours did as well.
I still have my suspicions, but we'll see. But it's little things like that, explanations for how they're going about things. There was that. There's the mention that for each of these things, you need to use the most up-to-date version of things, because things are going to change between them. Like
So,
in
like,
this one,
Inspiration works differently than in the previous one.
yeah.
In the previous one, it was when you rolled a natural 20, you got heroic inspiration is what they're calling it
Yeah.
now. Now it's if you roll a 1, and they're wanting you to use that if you roll a 1, but not if you roll a 20.
Right. And part of what they've said is keep using the older material, but anything that gets overridden in the new material, go with that.
Yes.
And give them feedback based on that. Now, I think that's very important because that does make me more inclined to believe this is an actual playtest, because that's the kind of thing you're going to want to see. Not just, hey, we have this idea, test it, but also, okay, well, let's test a different version of that idea. Let's test the old version of that idea, but let's keep these other things in the mix. You have to mix and match repeatedly to make sure that you test numerous permutations of the idea against all the other permutations of all the other ideas. And so the fact that they're going to be doing that, or at least encouraging everyone to do that in the playtest, does make me more inclined to believe that they are actually seeking input from the players and everything, and are legitimately going to deal with it. So that gives me hope. And also just the overall willingness, like the thing with the D20, the critical and like the inspiration. Trying it on a 1. That's an interesting thought, in my opinion. Like, normally, the 1, you've obviously missed, and depending on what rules you work with, maybe it's a critical miss and you've, like, stabbed yourself in the foot. But for there to be some kind of light at the end of the tunnel for what just happened to you, like, okay, well, you shot yourself in the foot here, but at the very least, you get this out of the deal.
Karma's going to give you a little something back.
Yeah.
At that point.
Like, I think that's even though I believe players are already overpowered, that's the kind of thing I'm cool with, because that's yes, you're going to pay for the miss because you're probably going to get hit and everything, but the slight edge on the next attack or whenever you choose to use the inspiration or whatever, that's to me that's fine. That's the kind of thing I want to see more of, that kind of thing, So I'm cool with that. I'm kind of hoping that stays. So if not, I might keep it for my group anyway. But yeah, overall, like I said, it's for me, the presentation was much better, going more into what they're looking for, what they're wanting to try. This one had a far better picture of things. I mean, we still know nothing about monsters, the DM side of the
we're
equation
seeing
or
a
anything.
little bit more of the puzzle put together now.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you guys, I'm cautiously optimistic for what's coming and what we'll end up getting. Like, I'm telling you that up front, but I still think there needs to be changes to everything. Yeah. Especially in this one.
Alright, so on that note, that's the main thing I had to say on that. Was I almost think they maybe should have gone with this first. Or maybe this combined with the other. Because, plus the presentation, to get a better picture of the whole. Because if you're really truly going to playtest something, yeah, like I mentioned, playtesting all the pieces kind of works as long as you somehow combine them all at least once. But to genuinely playtest it, you really need the whole thing. Or at least a far greater picture to know what you're really commenting on. So, and I think this is a major step towards that. So, obviously we're going to have to see with the other pieces what we get, but I think this was a vast improvement over that. So, Chad, you've done far more of the looking into the changes here, so I will let you take over here.
So, they're calling it the expert classes because it is what they're saying are the expert classes. The description they're giving for the group, which I do like the idea of class groups. It means they can put out a feat they want certain classes to be able to have, and then later on, if they introduce a new class, they just have to it's part of this group. And then it has access to that feat instead of, oh, this class qualifies for this feat and this feat and this feat as well.
Yeah, I want to throw in there, as briefly looking over it, I do mostly like the idea of the feats being like, hey, this is a mage feat, this is an expert feat,
Which all the other three groups they've given us the names for is mages, which include sorcerer, warlock, and wizard. Then you have priests, which include cleric, druid, and paladin. And then the last one's warriors, which are barbarians, fighters, monks. You can roughly see what they're going for with each group. The experts they're, by their own words, polymaths.
Yeah,
they're the skilled characters.
Yeah, it's all of them that have the expertise feature.
Yes. Artificer is part of the expert group, but they did not include it with this Unearthed Arcana. I don't know why, unless they're just trying to focus on the player handbook classes.
Yeah,
but when they introduced Artificer, they said it's a basic class.
Yeah.
So why not include it with the other basic classes?
Seemed to be unnecessary cloak and dagger there, but I know that I've based on what I have read, and seen people discuss elsewhere on other topics, I know part of it is because the Artificer is not a class that if you or I were to go make 5th edition material, we can't use it. Like on our own, like how for 3rd you had the OSR OGL. We can do that with 5th with some things, but not the Artificer. It specifically is,
okay,
and that might be why it's not in this.
but they are Wizards of the Coast.
I know.
They have it.
I know. I'm just, that's speculation on my part that it might somehow be tied to that.
The mages, they're arcane magic, which they rebranded the types of magic. It's arcane, divine, and primal.
On that note, just glancing through the spell lists, they are not mutually exclusive.
No.
There are spells that do appear on more than one of the spell lists. So they're not, these spells are here, these spells are here, these spells are here. It's mostly this, mostly this, mostly this, and
Then, like, the mages are supposed to be focusing on utility and destruction magics.
Yes, blowing stuff up.
Yes. Priests are the stewards of divine and primal magic. Gods in nature. And it says they're focused on healing, utility, and defense. So there's your high AC group if you really want to go that route. You just better make sure your wisdom is high enough to keep that save good, or you might become your party's own problem. And then the warriors are masters of combat, who can deal and endure many wounds. Yes. Or not get hit in the first place.
Well, yeah.
Monk's pretty good at that.
The best defense is just not getting hit.
There are no rules for the class groups in and of itself. It's just like feats and such will refer to that. Yeah. So, like...
Oh, feats are also restricted by... Well, I mean, we learned this from the last time, but now that we see them...
Feats have prerequisites of certain levels. Class groups, I don't think there's any for race at the moment.
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect there to be.
No. Not with how they're doing races now.
Yeah, no. Going forward, I'd be quite surprised if there were.
The first expert class they give us is the Bard. They did change classes a little bit. You have a primary ability now. The primary ability, or abilities, because some of them do have more than one. If you are multi-classing, you have to have a 13 in that ability to multi-class. Out of that class or into the class.
Oh, both ways?
Yes.
Okay.
So, like, if you wanted to make a Bard Rogue, Bard's primary ability is Charisma. Rogue's is Dexterity. You have to have a 13 in both. Now, if you want to make a single class character, a Bard with a Charisma of 8, I know someone who would love that character. Go ahead. You're just not going to be multi-classing. Bard is technically a full caster. They do get their level 9 spells. They still have their... Spell, yes. It is one spell slot of 9th level. And 8th level. So, use them wisely. Your Bard, the hit points are still the same. It's 1d8. So, that's not any different. You get to pick 3 skills of your choice, or you can go with their suggestions of Deception, Performance, and Persuasion. Which, that's pretty much what every Bard takes. And
I was going to say, isn't that something they also talked about, is how they plan on each of the classes having like I don't know what I'm doing, what should I do?
Yes.
Take this basic package and run with it
kind of thing. Each class, if there's options you can do that might matter, they give you suggestions. Yeah. Like, I don't play Bard a lot. I haven't actually played any Bard. And so, like, I know what skills I take for a Bard, but I don't know what spells. And later on, I think page or 2 later for Bard, they have
they got the suggested
spells that they suggest you take and prepare.
And they also mentioned in the presentation that things like the wizard and the sorcerer will also have these.
Yes.
But they're not in this, so we don't see the list yet.
You get only simple weapons for your weapon proficiencies. I can see that you're more focused on the spell casting, the bardic inspiration, the performances and such.
You haven't multi-classed into rogue to become a swashbuckler yet.
Yes. There is... I don't know if it's a typo for Bard. It's... let me see if I can find... Yeah, here. It's in the second paragraph, right under where it gives you your primary ability. Bards believe that the creators of the multiverse spoke and signed it into existence, and that remnants of those words of creation still resound and glimmer on every plane of existence.
I'm pretty sure...
I don't know if they meant song or if they're going in with the sign language thing 100%.
I'm going to throw...
Sorry for calling it a thing, people. I know there are people that live on it.
I'm going to throw out a wild suggestion here. Is that they misspelled what they thought was singed, and it's supposed to be sang. Or sung. Sang in this case.
Singed is not a word.
I know, but I'm saying since it's signed, I'm willing to bet the person that wrote that, that's what they were thinking, mistyped that so the spell check didn't catch it. What they meant was sang.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking, but considering the previous one referenced sign language, I wasn't certain. And I'm not going to go, oh, that is a typo. I'm just saying it might be. It stood out as weird to me.
I'm willing to bet that it is because it's the Bard. It's music.
And actually music, dance.
Right. What I'm saying.
It doesn't have to just be sound related.
But you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like Chad could very well be... Chad could be correct. This might not be a typo. They could mean that, yes, they did, sign as they spoke. By the way, it was total gibberish, and I apologize. That's not any actual sign language.
Yes. We do not know sign language, so...
Yeah. But if it's anything remotely like Tolkien, which is the origin point of virtually everything in D&D, the universe was sang into existence in Tolkien. So, take for that what you will.
Back to your proficiencies, you get tools... 3 musical instruments of your choice. I don't know about that myself, about the musical instruments. I would like just more option than just musical instruments.
We should probably focus a little more on
the changes.
The changes, yeah.
Yes. All right. Bobby does have a point there. There's not a whole lot of changes, except for I did mention Bard only gets simple weapons, and you start with a short sword.
It's a martial weapon, isn't it?
Not in this.
Really?
Later on in here, it states short sword is now a simple weapon. I do not agree with that.
Yeah, no. I mean, a sword should be... Like, a sword does require training. Like a spear doesn't. A spear does require training. But a spear requires a lot less training. That's why, historically, most people fought with spears, not swords.
Or clubs.
Yeah, clubs.
Okay, so the big change for Bard is in their bardic inspiration. It's gone from a bonus action to a reaction. And I don't know how I feel about that. Because beforehand it was you just use a bonus action, you give an ally or someone within so many feet that you can see a bardic inspiration die. Then they just used it when they needed to. Now you can use it as a reaction when they fail a D20 test. So, okay, you've seen that they fail, then you add your bardic inspiration. So maybe turns into a success.
Well, I mean, I would hope you know. Like, or is it a die that you roll? You roll it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It is. It starts at like a D6, goes to D8, D10, finally D12. So, but yeah, you know they failed, and then you can choose to give them the die. That's nice. Uh, I guess. I don't know. I've not played Bard or seriously considered it myself. I've looked into it a little bit because I've had an idea of a storyteller Bard. Uh, you do get the ability to heal with your Bardic Inspiration now. As a reaction, when you see someone hurt, you can use a Bardic Inspiration, roll it, and they heal whatever you roll. I think it should be more they heal what you roll plus your charisma modifier or your proficiency bonus. Make it a little bit more impactful because those Bardic Inspiration die are restricted. They are a resource. You only get so many of them per long rest. With the Bard Right that they've just released with this Unearthed Arcana, it's your proficiency bonus. So at level 1, you only get 2 Bardic Inspirations. Beforehand, you could get 5 if you have the 20 in your charisma.
Gotcha.
But on the flip side of that, once you get to higher levels, you can get 6 Bardic Inspirations in a day.
So, speaking of higher levels, we should probably mention that they're also like kind of tinkering with how the last few levels work for everybody.
Yes. Capstone abilities have been brought back a few levels, and they've introduced what they're calling an epic boon. They're epic feats. They were in the Dungeon Master's Guide, but I don't think many people played high enough to where those came into effect.
Probably not. And so like what you would normally get at level 20,
it's like level 18 now.
Yeah. So now you're still your last chance to your last feat and or stat boost. Well, or stat boost, not and or stat boost is still level 19. That's still where it resides.
Bard now gets expertise at 2nd level, like it did before, as well as at 9th level. And both of those times you pick 2 skills you have proficiency in, and you double the proficiency bonus for it. And they tell you what are iconic ones to pick for bards. So that is nice. I do not think Bard needs that. Personally, because at 5th level, you still get Jack of all trades. You can add half your proficiency bonus, rounded down, I thought it was rounded up, beforehand, to any ability check you make that uses a skill proficiency you lack, and that doesn't otherwise use your proficiency bonus. So if you have a 5 in your proficiency bonus, and you need to make... They give the example of a strength check for athletics. You can add 2 to it, on top of whatever your strength is.
Yeah.
When you go to make an initiative check, that's a dexterity check. You add 2 to that, on top of whatever your dexterity is. I do like that, but I think with that, bards really do not need expertise. Because expertise is focused. A bard to me is, I know a little bit about everything. And that's literally what some of their class features are. They've changed your ability score improvement feature. Now it's just called a feat. And the reason for this is ability score improvement is a feat in and of itself.
Right. Instead of having the optional this or this, it's you get a feat, one of which is ability score improvement, which you can take multiple times.
Yes.
But you cannot exceed 20 from taking the feat.
And this is a change because in the base game, feats are actually an optional feature.
Yeah.
So, like, most people overlook that and just go, here. So, but I don't know Bard enough to go over all their abilities.
Let's in that case, let's move on to the class you do know more about.
Well, we'll just go down through, because Ranger I have an opinion on.
Okay.
First,
Does it involve either Dritz or Walker Texas Ranger?
no. But Walker, Texas Ranger, would definitely beat Dritz.
I am disappointed in this, but continue.
Okay, first, primary abilities for the Ranger. Dexterity and Wisdom. They use primal spells.
Sure. I can see
That's
it.
more Wisdom based.
Right.
And they want to be dexterous. They call out Ranger and Rogue as the iconic dual wielders, which usually you want dexterity with that. You know, for you don't try your fancy twirling, stabbing, slicing thing and slice off your own hand.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, the entire reason that Ranger is the dual wielder is because of Dritz. Like, that is the beginning and end as to why. Like, no other particular reason.
But
because the iconic Ranger is Aragorn, who you'll note is not a dual wielding character.
no.
But yeah, that's why.
But their primary abilities, dexterity, wisdom. Their saving throw proficiencies, strength and dexterity. Why is it not dexterity and wisdom?
Got to be strong to swing them swords, Chad. Pull that bow.
But wisdom's tied to animal handling, survival, perception, all the things they say Rangers need to be good at. So why don't they get wisdom saving throws?
I'm going to go on a limb here and say that they're still trying to figure out how to make Ranger to be not... What's the term?
Useless?
No. No, not useless.
Underpowered?
No, it's an acronym. It's MAD, but I don't remember what it stood for, and it's not mutually assured destruction.
It's
it has
multiple...
It has to do with the fact that
multiple attribute dependent.
yes, because like your wizard needs intelligence, your sorcerer needs charisma, your bard needs charisma, or like a paladin needs strength and charisma too. The ranger, you're looking at strength, dexterity, and wisdom here. You know,
So just take strength right out of it.
well that would be a possible fix.
Like,
But then what are you doing? Like,
they're dexterous and wise.
okay, but again, what's the iconic ranger? Is Aragorn a sword fighter? You know, the problem.
He's the role model they need.
The problem
but
is,
somehow they have Dritz.
that's the problem. Is they're trying to shoehorn all the baloney from Dritz into this class, when Dritz should just be some other thing.
All right. So yes, changes for Ranger. Spellcasting starts at level 1 now.
Hey.
2 cantrips and 2 first level spells at level 1. Congratulations. You're going to want those spell slots with this. Expertise, level 1 and level 9.
Alright. What's your favorite enemy there at level 1 too? Of course you probably did that already.
Favorite enemy. Spellcasting contradicts it a little bit.
Oh.
Favorite enemy is not I pick a creature type and I am good against those. It is you always have Hunter's Mark prepared.
Oh, okay.
The spell. You don't have to have concentration on Hunter's Mark. Okay, cool. I do like that change. It just lasts for the full duration until you end it as a bonus action.
And it won't count against your number of spells you can prepare.
Nope.
It's like just an add-on.
Now here's your spell casting. With your spell preparation, you have the following spells prepared: Cure Wounds, Guidance, Hunter's Mark, and Thorn Whip. Alternatively, you can prepare 2 0-level spells and 2 first-level spells of your choice. Alternatively, you can prepare a spell different than Thorn Whip. Or, not Thorn Whip, but Hunter's Mark.
Seems to me You would want to take the alternative since you're going to have Hunter's Mark prepared no matter what.
So, you have 2 first level spell slots. You can use one to cast Hunter's Mark. And
Yeah.
then later on, when you need to cast it again, you can use the second one for Hunter's Mark. Hunter's Mark gives you extra damage against your opponent.
Sure.
Gives you advantage on tracking them. It's the hunter. It's the ranger spell.
Yeah.
Spellbook or current books. It is only available to ranger and I believe Oath of Vengeance paladin.
Okay.
That's it. So why not take favored enemy and just have it as a bonus action? You can mark one target. Against this target, your weapon attacks do 1d6 damage extra. You have advantage on survival and perception checks to track this creature. As a bonus action, when the one creature dies, you can move it to a new one. Boom. Done.
The only thing I could figure...
Just have it like that. Remove Hunter's Mark as a spell. Give Oath of Vengeance Paladin that same ability.
Unless there's a reason why they want it to be a spell.
Yes, because now it's limited to by what group you're in, not what... It's what type of magic you have available, not certain spells. But I think...
Well, I'm thinking beyond that. I'm thinking like... I don't know, if they want to do something crazy like introduce anti-magic fields, which I don't know if those even exist in 5th edition.
They do.
Okay, so you got that. So that would cancel it. Or not,
No.
Or not allow you to cast it.
No. You're a ranger. It's not magic that's letting you hunt your favorite enemy. It's
But
your
that's-
skill and talent.
I get that, but what I'm saying is maybe it's something like that.
And Hunter does not work as well if you do not have Hunter's Mark. That's why everyone has complained with how Ranger was that you have to sacrifice a spell known and a spell slot to do what makes Ranger worth it.
Okay, well what I'm saying is maybe that has something to do with it.
They just need to make what Hunter's Mark do a feature for the Ranger.
I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm saying that since again, it's a playtest with incomplete material, maybe...
Yes, Wizards of the Coast, listen in on this.
Maybe there is some other reason, maybe there's some other change that makes this make sense. Now, I'm not counting on that. I'm just playing devil's advocate here and saying there's a maybe. Because I haven't read the pages and pages of why the Ranger is terrible, but this kind of thing doesn't surprise me.
I have a friend that likes Rangers but complains in 5th edition that they're useless. I have another friend who made a better Ranger by making a fighter.
Yeah, probably. So you're saying it's like 3.5, where after a certain point the wizard is better at everything than everybody?
Yes.
Like the wizard becomes the better rogue, the better fighter, the better everything.
After some point, everything becomes a better Ranger than the Ranger. So at 7th level with your roving, you get a 10-foot increase now instead of 5 foot.
Okay.
And you gain a climb speed and a swim speed equal to your speed. This is... The speeds are actually rather important. Because normally to swim or climb requires a check and increased cost of movement.
Right, whereas I'm assuming...
It's 1 foot. For every foot you move, you have to expend an extra foot of movement. If you have a speed, no check, no loss of movement.
Did you just say for every foot you have to expend another foot?
Yes.
Why don't they just cut the speed in half?
That's not how they work it.
I'm just saying.
Then, let's see here. 11th level, you get Tireless. Whenever you finish a rest, you can give yourself a number of temporary hit points equal to 1d8 plus your proficiency bonus.
And that's a short or long rest.
Yes. Generally, when I think of, like, oh, what kind of rest do they mean? If they only mean one type, I'll say that one type. But if they mean both, I'll just go a rest.
Sure. I'm just clarifying for the audience.
Also, you can decrease your exhaustion. If If you are exhausted when you finish a short rest, your level of exhaustion decreases by 1. This is, I'm used to traveling in the wilds. I have scrounged up enough to keep me sustained and rested, where others are weary and dreary.
This is a man who knows nothing of second breakfast.
Yes, sadly.
To continue the Aragorn analogy.
Yes. 13th level, Nature's Veil. As a bonus action, you can expend a spell slot. You won't do that because you need Hunter's Mark. To turn invisible until the end of your next turn.
I mean, depending on what else I had going for me, I'd consider the invisible over anything else.
Hunter's Mark, nope. Everything's Hunter Mark. You don't know how to play a rogue or a ranger.
You're right. I don't, because I'm not going to play a ranger. Because every time I've looked at it, it's like the fighter's just better.
Yep. Let's see here. 15th level, Feral Senses. Your connection to the forces of nature grants you blind sight with a range of 30 feet.
You know, I hate to interrupt you, Chad, but I take that back. I did play a ranger in Neverwinter Nights 2.
But there was a reason for this, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, there was.
Favorite enemy and primarily what you're facing towards the end.
Well, throughout the whole campaign, you're facing a lot of undead. Yeah, that made that campaign really super simple. Yeah.
I've heard this story before, folks.
I haven't played as a drow. Like, I think I even ended up as a dual-wielding drow now that I think about it.
The stereotype continues.
You know what's hilarious is this is before I even heard of Dritz. Like, it was just a matter of, like...
Everything lined up
the
properly.
math worked out, because, like, spell resistance was ungodly by the end of it.
But...
And just everything worked out for it.
Back to this. Blind sight is like seeing normally, but better in D&D. It's like dark vision, but better.
Okay.
Because you don't have to have a light source for blind sight. It's literally, you're blind, and anything not in full cover within 30 feet of you, you know is there and exactly where they are. So, anything that requires line of sight, if you're blinded, well, you can still see them because you're not using your sight for it. Like, that is nice. Foe Slayer, Hunter's Mark now deals an extra 1d10 rather than 1d6. And then they give you the suggested spells. Then we get to Hunter.
Yeah, each of these has a subclass. So,
yes.
Yeah, each of these has one subclass.
The one for Bard that they showed did not change a whole lot. That's why I didn't really go over it. At least I don't think it changed a lot. Ranger I just have a lot of opinions on. That's why we're going through it. Hunter's Prey for the Hunter. Cool. If you hit with a weapon or arm strike as part of your attack action on your turn, you deal an extra 1d8 damage so long as they're not at full hit points. You only do this once per turn. Although that should be once on your turn, but sure. Hunter's Lore, you know it.
Remember that comment, folks. That's going to come up again here in a moment.
Yes. Hunter's Lore, a creature you put Hunter's Mark on, you know if they have resistances, vulnerabilities, or immunities. Cool. That's actually useful.
Yeah.
I think before it was like, you picked one, not all three. Then, 10th level Hunter, you get multi-attack. Guess what it does, folks? I'll give you a few seconds. No, it does not give you another attack. You now always have Conjure Barrage prepared, and it doesn't count against the number of spells you can prepare. You can also cast a spell with first and second level spell slots. When you do so, the damage is reduced by 1d8 for each slot level below third. I would replace that with just the third attack. Conjure Barrage does 3d8 damage.
Sure.
If you're going to use a longsword, in one hand you do 1d8 damage. Just give a third attack on your attack action to do 3d8 damage on your attack action.
That'd be too easy.
But makes more sense. Especially with a name like multi-attack. Uh, 14th level hunter, superior hunter's defense. If you're hit by an attack roll, you can use a reaction to have the attack's damage against yourself. This sounds like something a rogue would have. Well, that half you avoid, you deal to one creature other than the attacker that you can see within 5 feet of yourself. It's literally, you're parrying it just enough it doesn't hurt you as badly, and it hits someone else.
So,
it's
in a scenario like that, because this has never come up, and I've never had any real reason.
It is uncanny dodge, but better.
Hold on.
For some reason.
In a scenario like this, what if there is no other creature?
The damage doesn't go anywhere. But you still can use that to
that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Avoid half the damage.
If you can't execute the whole thing, do you still execute the first part?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
At least that's how I would rule it. I'm not going to nerf a 14th level ability by saying you can't avoid half the damage because there's no one to deal with.
Yeah, I just didn't know if there was a general rule that I'd overlooked about that. Because I know some games have a general rule of you have to complete the whole thing. Others, it's like you complete it up to the point that you can't, and that's where you stop. Just depends on the game. That there are different general rules.
And now on to my favorite class, Rogue, which has been nerfed. You get expertise at level 1, and I believe 7. Yeah. So 2 levels earlier, you get all 4 of your expertise.
That's not a nerf.
No. This is sneak attack. You know how to turn a subtle attack into a deadly one. Once on each of your turns, when you take the attack action, you can deal extra damage to one creature you hit with an attack roll, if you're attacking with a finesse weapon or a ranged weapon. And if at least one of the following requirements is met. Hopefully you all know what those requirements are if you play rogues. If not, it's actually easier to read now. It's literally, if you have advantage on the attack roll, or at least one of your allies is within 5 feet of the target, and that ally is not incapacitated, and you don't have disadvantage on the attack roll. And they tell you how to figure out how many d6s you roll for sneak attack. It's half your rogue level rounded up. This is once on each of your turns. Not once per turn like it is currently. So
briefly,
what does that mean?
Elaborate.
All right, right now a rogue can hit you on their turn.
Sure.
Find that spot in your ribs where it really hurts.
Sneak attack.
And then when you try to move away from them, they can hit that spot again.
Okay.
And they get sneak attack on their reaction opportunity of attack. Okay. Attack of opportunity. Now, well, that attack of opportunity doesn't happen on your turn, so you can't do that.
So likewise, also, if is snake swiftness still a thing?
What?
The spell snake swiftness. It's literally, I'm going to cast a spell so you can take another action.
Haste.
Okay.
You're talking about haste there.
Okay.
But yeah, no. Once per turn. Once per your turn.
Okay.
Now...
And also, likewise, if somehow you could attack multiple times on your turn, it's still only going to trigger once on your turn.
Well, rogues can attack multiple times on their turn. It's how light weapons have been changed. But we'll get to that in a little bit. I disagree with this. You either, you've nerfed them. And you've nerfed them more than you're thinking right now.
I didn't do this. I'm not thinking about it.
Well, they nerfed it more than he's probably thinking right now. Capstone ability for Thief used to be you got a second turn at your initiative minus 10.
Okay.
It's not anymore.
Initiative minus 20?
No. You just get a second bonus action, but it has to be one of your cunning actions. Not bad, but considering you don't get a second turn that first round anymore.
Yeah.
Thieves can't change it a little bit.
I know it's something that's full of decay.
now also get a bonus language with it.
Yeah, I did actually see the video of the rationale on that. It made sense to me.
You're picking up... Thieves' Cant is a jargon. If you're picking up that jargon, it wouldn't be too hard to just pick up another language.
Oh, it's not specifically the sign language?
No. You can...
Like it's called the...
One other language of your choice.
No. The Thieves' Cant. Because, like, I've always heard it called the Hand Cant. Because it's...
It's hands, symbols, and key word or coded words and phrases.
That's just street.
It's not just it's how you're standing, how you're talking, how you're moving while you're talking. Certain markings on certain buildings will tell you if it's under protection of the Thieves Guild, or if it's good to rob, or if someone lives there that needs assassinated, stuff like that. It is an entire language.
That's just a bunch of gibberish.
Uncanny Dodge is the same.
So, quick question.
Yes.
Back there.
Which part?
So, since I have not actually looked this particular part up, at present, is there a distinction among the languages like this?
You have common languages and exotic languages at the moment.
Ah, so now we're going to standard and rare.
Yes.
Apparently.
There is a change of wording in actually what equipment the rogue is proficient in.
Okay.
I forgot to mention that, folks. Simple weapons and martial weapons that have the finesse property. So they've worded it like that instead of calling out all the martial weapons with finesse and then giving you the longsword as well. Never made sense to me why the rogue had the longsword. It's versatile, not finesse. So it goes off your strength. Does not key your sneak attack. Yeah. Don't know there.
I can give you a best guess. And it's a total long shot.
Is it because a short sword looks like a long sword in the hands of a halfling and the iconic rogue is Bilbo and Bilbo?
No. Doesn't even know that he's the iconic rogue. Like, he steals like 2 things throughout the whole thing. And is totally reluctant in his job.
Sounds like a perfect thief to me.
No, I'm actually pretty sure they based a lot of this off other characters.
Okay.
But no. Conan is technically a thief also. Conan uses a rather large sword. I know Conan is a barbarian, but remember...
Conan is a fighter.
Actual Conan, not just the name, is a thief, among other things.
He is a fighter.
I'm just saying.
With way too many skills.
Yes, but that's beside the point.
Okay.
Like I said, it's probably a long shot, but that would be my guess.
Not much else was changed for Rogue. So, until you get to 13th level. Subtle Strikes. So long as you have an ally that is not incapacitated within 5 feet of your target, you always have advantage on attack rolls. Guess what? Advantage and disadvantage cancel each other out. So long as you have a guy standing next to him, you'll never have disadvantage on the attack.
Okay.
Which means the disadvantage part of sneak attack kind of irrelevant.
Run that all by me. I'm kind of tired.
Okay. If you have disadvantage on your attack, you cannot use sneak attack, period.
Okay.
Advantage that you get from subtle strikes,
Sure.
which has to have a active ally within 5 feet of your opponent,
Sure.
will give you advantage. They cancel each other out.
Okay.
Which means you just have a straight D20 roll. Well, you have a ally within 5 feet of the opponent, which means you get sneak attack. So,
all
the
this kicks
disadvantage part of sneak attack is now pointless. get rid of that and just be like, so long as you have an ally within 5 feet, or you have advantage.
No, because this only kicks in at 13th level. Before that, it's going to matter. See, here's the point where you folks have probably figured out any and all potential advantages to the rogue. Chad thinks are perfect game balance. Anything to subtract from the rogue is heresy of the highest order that must be destroyed.
Burned, not destroyed. Burned.
So specifically destroyed with fire. Sorry.
It's purifying. Your stroke of luck, where if you roll a d20, you can just take a 20 on the die. It's 18th level now. 2 levels earlier. Thief got changed a little bit. Fast hands, you can take the search action with it, or disarm a trap, or pick a lock, or pick a pocket. So still the same thing, they just worded it differently. Search actions usually take an action, but if you're a thief, well, you can look around as a bonus action. Second story work got changed. You gain a climb speed equal to your speed, so no more climbing does not cost extra movement. And no check. A lot of people forget about that check part. And then when you take the jump action, you can make a dexterity check instead of a strength check.
Which, as long as you built your rogue correctly, is probably what you're going to do.
Yes. Beforehand, it was when you make a jump, you can move a number of feet extra equal to your dexterity modifier. So, 5 feet farther jump. Supreme Sneak is new. Well, changed. You have advantage on every dexterity check for stealth you make, provided you aren't wearing medium or heavy armor. Beforehand, it's like so long as you don't move greater than half of your speed. A lot of people overlook that part. So this is more like, you're just doing what you already do. And rogues generally don't wear medium or heavy armor, so...
I wouldn't think they would.
Nope. Use magic device has been changed for the thief. You can actually tune up to 4 magic items at a time. That's nice. Irrelevant for Cade because he can't go past 1 at the moment, but nice. Whenever you use a magic item property that expends a charge, if you roll a d6 on it, and if you roll a 6, you use that item without expending the charge. You have a 1/6 chance of that wand of fireballs not expending any charges.
For those of you curious, that is a 16.6 repeating % chance.
Check out one of our other videos up here for more on those chances.
It's not ready yet.
Not ready? You need to get it ready.
Well, like I said, we refilmed it, and I haven't got the footage back yet.
That's nice.
But yes, there is a video in the works that talks entirely about dice probability. So
yes, it will be up here.
Yeah, by the time it's done, it will finally be linked up here, but that's going to be down the road. So.
And then with use magic item, you can use spell scrolls that bear a cantrip or a first level spell. Cantrip's a 0 level spell. You can try to cast spell scrolls of a higher level, but you got to do an Arcana check that has a DC equal to 10 plus the spell's level. On a successful check, you cast a spell from the scroll, and you use intelligence as the spell casting ability. On a fail, the scroll disappears. Well, doesn't disappear. It disintegrates.
Important distinction.
Yes. I don't know how I feel about this. It's better in some ways, the attunement and charges part. But it removes the ability to ignore requirements on magic items. Thief currently can use any magic item, regardless of requirements of race, class, or anything like that.
Yeah, that's absurd.
No, it's not.
It's magic.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're outsmarting the magic folks.
No, there's nothing to outsmart. When you're dealing with magic, you're talking about someone has literally rewritten the rules of the universe. Okay, this is like in Marvel Comics, the Juggernaut, the Crimson Gem of Sidorak, literally makes him unstoppable. No force in the universe can stop him. Okay, it's not a matter of strength; it's a matter of reality says this gentleman will not be stopped once he's in motion.
She-Hulk did it.
No, She-Hulk has never stopped the Juggernaut when he's in motion. Trust me, she didn't.
Okay.
And that's what I'm talking about. That's you're dealing with magic. If a magic item says only a Yuan-Ti can use me, that is it's like Thor's hammer. Okay, only if it were somehow keyed specifically to only Thor.
See, the whole Yuan-Ti can only use me. You just put a snake scale on your skin somewhere and go, I'm Yuan-Ti, you're mine now.
If you know that's the case, maybe that will work, unless it reads your soul or something. Again, it's magic. Like,
read your soul.
Chad, it's magic.
If souls are reborn into different races, that don't work.
Magic's not gonna cheap out on you and be like, well, I mean, it's got a scale close enough. Magic's gonna be like, no. There's like a hidden sentience at work.
Thief's reflexes, your capstone for thief. You don't get a second action, like I mentioned. Or a second turn in the first round of combat. You just get a second bonus action up to your proficiency per long rest. I don't know how I feel about that.
Okay.
There's points where that second turn in the first round would come in useful.
I would think almost every first round that would come in useful. But
and then there's times where a second bonus action would come in useful.
couldn't that just be part of your turn? Your second turn?
Well, this isn't just in the first round of combat.
Okay, fair enough.
Like, say you want to go running. You move. Bonus action dash. Thieves reflex dash. Action dash.
What about Mega Man's robotic friend dash?
I don't know him.
It's the dog. The robotic dog.
Well, then he's cute. All dogs are cute, people. It's a fact of life. Live with it.
So, just noting.
Yes, we got a lot more to go.
No, we don't.
Rogue got changed in a meta sense with this. Where it gets its archetype or subclass features has been more evened out to match the other classes. So that is a good thing. Then we're on to the feats they give you. There's not much there. Like, some of them have changed. I don't know all the feats. I really don't.
There's pages of them. You should check them out.
Yes. The Charger's been improved. Crossbow Expert's good. Dual Wielder, I will call out, though, because that is... No. Most people ignore the draw requirements on weapons and such. Because you can only draw one per attack action. Most people ignore that because when you're going through a dungeon, what do you generally do?
You're going to short out.
Yes, you're going to have it out before combat starts.
Yeah.
So, Dual Wielder, it gives you enhanced dual wielding. You don't have to have light on your weapons. You can increase strength or dexterity. You just have to have proficiency with any martial weapon to get it. Notice there's something missing there? Well, and you can also draw two weapons as part of the same attack action. To be able to add your ability modifier to the damage of your second attack, you have to have a fighting style. Well, in the videos, they call out Ranger and Rogue as the iconic dual wielders.
Okay.
Fighting style, two-weapon fighting, is a feat
For
with the
warrior
prerequisite of warrior group.
Well, there you go.
So why not get rid of that fighting style and put the, hey, you can add your ability modifier to the damage of the extra attack in with dual wielder.
Chad, remind me someday to show you how two-weapon fighting and dual wielding works in 3.5 and the laundry list of feats you need to really make it worthwhile.
Did you forget in the 3.5 game you ran for a while? I was doing that.
So, anyway, what else we got here?
With us being on the dual wielding topic, I don't know if they've done away with the offhand attack. Because when you get down to glossary, once you're past all the spell lists, light has been changed. It's... Let me get to it. I did not memorize it. Here we go. When you take the attack action on your turn and attack with a light weapon in one hand, you can make one extra attack as part of the same action.
Okay.
So it's not a bonus action offhand attack, it's just part of your attack action. Yay! Rogue can now get off 2 attacks and bonus action disengage and get away from the big scary thing and hide behind his paladin buddy with a shield and armor that makes his armor class 23, so he's not really going to be hit.
Okay.
Cool. But you don't add your ability modifier to the damage.
No.
So, again, why isn't the ability to do that in with the dual wielder feat? It just doesn't make sense to me. If Rogue and Ranger are the iconic dual wielders, why can they not get the ability to add their ability modifier to the damage of the second attack?
Because they didn't take two-weapon fighting.
They can't! But
Wait, hold up. Doesn't the Ranger have an option to take it, though?
The Ranger does, the Rogue does not.
Well, see, there you go. Dritz is taken care of. It's all that matters.
They did change the wording on your armor. It is not armor proficiency. It is armor training. The logic was...
proficiency is another game term. They want to
yes, that they tie to your proficiency bonus, and they want it to be anything that refers to proficiency is referring to that bonus.
That's probably for the best.
They give you the definition for everything.
Yeah, we probably can.
Yeah, most of it. I don't know. It's like they have good things here, but like some of it is just like, why did they do it this way and not do it the smart way?
Such as?
2-weapon fighting in with dual wielder.
Oh, wow, you're still on that.
The Ranger, favorite enemy. Why just give you a spell you don't, when you still have to expend a spell slot?
Well, again, playing devil's advocate, there's two X factors that we have no knowledge of here. This is the what would be referred to as unknown unknowns.
Something we don't know.
Correct. I'm not going to attempt to explain that. Look it up. But the basic concept is it's something that you don't know that you don't know.
Like a known unknown is something you know but don't know.
Yes.
You don't know what it is.
Like right off the top of my head, it's like the population of Botswana. I know there's a number for it. I just don't know what that number is. It's a known unknown. An unknown unknown is whenever a random meteor falls from the sky that no one sees coming and kills 10,000 people. That's an unknown unknown.
I'd probably change Thief's reflexes.
So, to go to my analogy here for the devil's advocate approach, the unknown unknowns are we have no idea what's in the rest of the playtest material.
Yes.
So there could, in theory, be something that makes these things make more sense. I'm not personally counting on it. I'm just playing devil's advocate here, Chad. The other is that someone at Wizards of the Coast is like, hey, we've done it this way forever. Maybe the other way would be better. Let's try it. And they're genuinely wanting feedback. And if people are like Chad's approach, the feedback is going to be, what the hell are you people doing?
Well, most of my feedback's, what the hell are you people doing? Some of it's good.
Yeah.
I'd change thieves' reflexes.
So definitely, for whatever it's worth, I advocate on you being slightly more eloquent, even if that is your ultimate point. Definitely want to word it. You can tell people that they're an idiot in a nice way, like if that's what you truly believe about them.
Yes.
So,
like I said, there's good and bad about this. I don't think short sword should be a simple weapon. A simple weapon is something a wizard would be able to use without much issue.
Well,
that's how I think of it.
Yeah,
for game terms.
I agree on the principle that a sword actually takes skill to use. It's not. Again, it's not a spear. Okay, even though a spear does also require skill, a spear is the kind of skill that you can learn in like a week or two. A sword takes years to master. And yeah, so any sword should be a martial weapon. Now, you want to throw something like a machete in there? I mean, a machete is pretty basic. There's not really much skill required for it.
No.
That I would lump under simple weapons. That's essentially a farm implement turned into a weapon, which is what most of the simple weapons are.
The thing is, they have the general weapons that you can then twist to be other weapons as the DM needs. But there you go. If your wizard really wants a short sword, I'm sure the DM would work with them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you could work something out. I mean, if nothing else, you'll eventually just take the feat to gain proficiencies with the martial weapons.
Yeah, they have that feat. It's gain proficiency with all martial weapons.
Yeah,
I mean, it's probably a waste of a feat depending on your character.
I'm also 99.9% certain the wizard is not going to randomly become overpowered if he can use a short sword. If anything...
No, the spells are going to have him overpowered.
If anything, the wizard is setting himself up for failure with the short sword. He's thinking, okay, once I run out of spells, I want to be able to do something. And the thought that came to mind is run into combat, stab things.
Not run off, find a campsite, and take a long rest.
Yeah, or throw your infinite cantrips around.
Yeah. But I think there's good things and bad things about this one. I honestly, there's some things I like, some I don't. As you guys can tell, I'm sure. I do not have a poker face. It is all what you see is what you get. But my advice is read through it yourself, watch the videos, and make your own opinion.
Yeah, and if at all possible, definitely test it.
Because I'm sure my opinion doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah, we haven't actually been able to test most of this.
No.
So far, we're in the realm of hypothetical stuff.
Yep.
We do want to.
This is
not for lack of interest.
Me looking through this and going, oh, that looks cool. That looks cool.
Yeah.
How does this work? I have some free time at work where generally I look through stuff like this.
I unfortunately, I skimmed it, but I don't know the rogue backwards and forwards, so I couldn't see, oh, well, this is different here. I had to kind of half pay attention to the videos that kind of explained it. My commentary, like I said up front, was more in I think the presentation was far better in this round. So.
Yeah, it was. Seemed like they actually put thought into it this time, not just, here you go.
So, with that, any closing thoughts, Jed?
Bard and Rogue got nerfed in the Unearthed Arcana, and Ranger did not get buffed enough.
Okay, well let me not to extend this video for another 20 minutes or anything, but in the realm of the hypothetical, what would it take to make the ranger worthwhile to you? Like obviously you're the hunter's mark thing. Let's assume an ability and not a spell, and you can just do
That's it.
You think that would be enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's what the ranger is. It is, I know that creature. I'm going to hunt that creature down, find him, and wear his skin as a cape.
Sorta. It's a bit morbid, but sure.
You are the, I know this creature. I can track it anywhere. I can find it if I lose track of it. I'm watching it move. I know where to shoot it. You need Hunter's Mark as a class feature, not a spell. Yes, if you want it limited use, tie it to your proficiency bonus. That way, you start with 2 uses, same number of spell slots.
Get them back on a rest or something.
Get them back on a long rest.
Yeah.
Or a short rest. Fighter gets his stuff on a short rest. Monk gets his on a short rest.
Maybe half as many on a short rest.
I'd go all. Then, like, by the time you're level 20, you got 6 uses of Hunter's Mark. You're getting better at using Hunter's Mark, of being able to track creatures. Like, that's all it needs.
Yeah, well, my thoughts on the short rest versus long rest as far as half roll is, at a certain point, just because of the way the game works, if you're getting them all back on the long rest, unless your DM is actually giving you guys 6 combats and everything, the thing may as well just be on all the time.
You need to get your thinking away from sessions versus adventuring days. A session is not an adventuring day.
Okay, but you're not hearing what I'm saying. If, like, the way combat typically winds up is the ranger is going to focus presumably on whatever the big bad is, if he's going to be going for a special super ultra damage thing. He's not going to waste it on the goblin. Okay? We can agree
He's going to focus on the meat shield.
Right. We can agree that's probably what he's going to do.
Yes.
Or at the very least, something above the goblin level.
Yes.
Okay. So, he's going to kill that thing. Is there more than one of these things in most combats? There could be, but there's probably not more than 2.
Yeah.
Okay. And if there are 2, hopefully some of the rest of the party is working on the other one. Hopefully. So, let's say they get through the first combat, and he's used this exactly once. Okay? Then they have some other fight, and he uses it again. Okay? Now, at this point, does the typical DM really keep going to have 4, 5, 6 combats in the adventuring day? Or does the party like, hey, the wizard's out of half of his spells, and this guy's hurt, and let's take a short rest over here.
Okay, so you're aware those are going to happen.
And what I'm saying is,
you take a short rest. The wizard can get a spell slot back.
And what I'm saying is,
of 5th level or lower.
And what I'm saying is, what's going to happen after the short rest? The same thing.
Yes.
Okay? So at that point, he's using it 4 times across 4 combats. It may as well just be on. Okay, especially once you get up to the 6 per day thing.
When it is the key feature of the class, it should be along those lines. The monk, its key feature is key. You get it at 2nd level, and you get 1 per level. They all replenish on a short rest.
Okay, but you see what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
Like from a practical standpoint, like it may as well just be a thing that you can just once you start combat, you pick a guy, you kill him. Once he's dead, as a bonus action, you pick another guy and just go to town. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying from a practical level, instead of doing the baloney with the recharges and everything, just do that.
That's because you can interrupt a short rest. You can interrupt a long rest, and you don't gain the benefits.
You can.
Okay, you're attempting to take an hour short rest in the middle of a dungeon. Do you think there aren't roving monsters?
You can, but again, we're back to we're stepping back for a moment from practical. Do most DMs actually do that?
Yes, in my experience.
you have experience with most DMs.
I have experience with more DMs than you do.
That's not what I asked you.
I don't know what other DMs do. I know what you and the other people I play with on Tuesdays do.
That's my point.
They are as likely to interrupt a rest as not interrupt it. So there is that chance. You do not have your stuff when you go to fight.
I'm aware there's a chance, but look at everything that's happening in the game here. It's all being geared towards the players becoming stronger while everything else is becoming weaker. Does that sound like a game where the majority of the DMs do that?
I don't know.
I
cannot guess on that's what they're thinking, Bobby. I can only go off of what's here, and you asked a question, and I gave my answer.
And yeah, but you're not. Never mind. Like,
I'm not what? Not paying attention to the practicality of you get it back on a short rest versus the long rest.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is at a certain point with things like that, it's just bookkeeping. You know, it's like how many groups actually keep track of encumbrance? How many groups actually keep track of like food and rations and stuff?
Gold weight.
I mean, all that stuff's there, but nobody does. And I'm even the type of person that loves that kind of crap, and I don't. All right?
But...
And that's what I'm saying is I could see this eventually just becoming another... If it comes back to a recharges kind of thing, just especially tied to proficiency, just because of the numbers and the math, to me it eventually just reaches this thing should just be on. Or a once per combat kind of thing. Because, but what else does the Ranger have going for him? Everyone complains the Ranger's underpowered constantly.
Yes.
Tell me this is going to be the thing that just breaks the Ranger.
No, it's not.
Okay.
But having it limited, because it is, you are focusing on one creature, represents the actual effort it takes to do that in your mind. Because you're in the middle of combat. You're watching that guy over there try to murder your wizard. That guy over there.
Okay, so make it once per combat. Once per combat encounter.
I would not do that. I would tie it to your proficiency. Yes, you short rest, you get it back. Big deal.
Well, but that's what I'm saying is at that point, based on the math, what are you even bothering to keep track of it? You know, that's like keeping track of the weight in copper coins you got.
Okay,
like no
so
cares.
that's like eventually it's at that point. Like you said about a 14th level ability.
No, I mean even at first level, like you're
Because you still have that chance. Hey, I'm in the middle of a hostile area. The DM could interrupt the rest. I will not get back my stuff at that point.
He could, but I sincerely believe that for the majority of games that doesn't happen.
I don't know. I've not been in the majority of games. I can only go off of what I've experienced, and rests do get interrupted at times.
Okay, I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying that, like, I think by and large, most DMs don't. I mean, you've seen the way the game is going. Like, this isn't just magically happening. Like, this is based on feedback from people. And the people who are telling them, no, this needs to be easier, this needs to be easier, this needs to be easier. Do you think those people are really playing with DMs that interrupt rests?
No.
Exactly.
Just like most people probably start and end sessions with long rests, and you're not supposed to.
That's my whole point here is that based on again, it's a belief. I have no proof, but it's a belief that most DMs probably don't interrupt most rests. There comes a point where if it's going to recharge and it's X number here, that the math says just make it a thing that you can just turn on. And again, I don't think that's going to just break the Ranger.
Then put it in there that once you hit a certain level, you have unlimited uses. But at lower levels, it should be limited. Like Barbarian, you have limited rages a day until you hit a certain level, and it's unlimited rages, unlimited amount of time all day long. That'd be the better way to do it then.
Well, I guess.
If you're saying eventually the math says it should just always be on.
Well, I'm saying the math says that at level 1.
The math says that at level 1 about Barbarian as well.
What else does the barbarian gain from raging?
Resistance to slashing, bludgeoning, piercing damage, and a bonus to damage.
Okay. So, compared to what the ranger gets,
1d6.
to what the ranger already has and everything, you don't see a little bit of disparity between those two? I mean, the barbarian goes to basically resistant to damage for all intents and purposes. And what else?
Uh, a, a flat bonus to damage.
Okay.
Done with melee weapons.
Okay. Versus, I've got to select somebody. Presumably I have to get to them somehow.
It's just within like 30 or 60 feet.
Well, I mean, like, to actually attack them. I suppose I could shoot them with the bow, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I get my plus D6. Like,
and then you can track them.
Okay, those two are not equal weight.
Yeah, the barbarian has the better ability.
Exactly, which is why the barbarian doesn't need it to be on all the time. It's a clearly better ability versus what the ranger is getting, which is my point. The ranger does not have some game-breaking ability. Okay? Even if it were on constantly, he would not break the game with what he can do. The barbarian, on the other hand, that would have to suffer some other kind of
Then
change.
why does rogue not get sneak attack on every attack it does? It's not a game-breaking ability.
Well, I think you could argue that once you get past what, level 1, level 2, when do one of your D6s begin piling up?
Level 3 you get 2, level 5 you get 3, level 7 you get 4.
Okay. So
level 20 you get 10.
So a continually progressing increase in damage versus a D6 up to what, level 14, where it becomes the mighty D10. Then again, I still have to call out a creature. So like, if I'm fighting this creature and someone else like attacks me and like tries to move away, I'm not going to get the bonus against them.
As the ranger, you're picking someone at distance who could be by themselves. A rogue has a checklist they have to do to get sneak attack. And so if an attack meets those requirements, why can't it just sneak attack every attack?
And one of the most basic requirements, the most basic one, is advantage on the attack, correct?
Yep.
So, as just standard operating procedure in combat, shouldn't you be trying to do that already?
Yeah.
So, it's not my fault that the rogue's other players are stupid and don't do that. Okay? You should be doing that already, whether you have a rogue or not.
Yeah. I know.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, again, it's a far greater ability. Okay? Because it plays into something you're already supposed to trying to be doing if you're doing it remotely.
So does Hunter's Mark.
Yeah, to take advantage of all the other crap that goes along with it. But what I'm saying is, again, 1d6 to level 14 versus 1d6 to level 3. And you're probably going to have advantage on the attack.
Possibly.
You're probably going to.
If you're shooting, you just need someone within 5 feet.
Sure, but let's be real. You're probably going to run up and stab.
More than likely.
Okay.
Because then you can get 2 attacks off instead of 1.
Exactly. See, it all feeds into it, is what I'm saying. This, oh man, that extra D6. Boy, I don't want to overdo it here. That's all I'm saying, Chad. I think if that were the case, I think people would lay off on the Ranger sucks. Is all I'm saying. A little bit.
But yes, give Hunter's Mark as a class feature of the Ranger. I think it'd be all right.
Okay.
I would heavily consider it at that point. I've actually heavily considered Ranger before, but the idea is I need someone else to also play a certain character, and Druid, I do believe. But...
well, you can explain that
later.
Yeah. All right. So, is that where we're leaving all this?
That should be where we leave all this, where we disagree with...
disagree with Wizards of the Coast and each other?
Yes, Wizards of the Coast and each other. It happens. We're not always...
not a hive mind.
Nope. Definitely not.
And I'm sure Brad has his own thoughts on all this too, which we will hopefully get as well.
Hopefully.
And,
Hopefully they don't contradict me so much this time.
hey, all I talked about was the presentation for the most part.
Yeah.
So unless he feels the presentation was terrible, I'm pretty sure I'm good.
I don't know.
He'll probably take your side on the Ranger, though. Anyway,
Probably.
no, I doubt it.
Maybe. He might go complete opposite and
He'll
just to disagree with me.
No, he'll just ignore it. He'll go on to something else. Talk about the Rogue.
How it's getting overpowered, probably. I don't. It actually did get a big nerf and a little buff.
Yeah, I despite my comments to Chad, I do agree that this does appear to be a downgrade for a number of reasons to the Rogue. So, but anyway, thank you folks for watching. Hopefully you watched to this point.
Hopefully.
I should have mentioned this way back at the beginning, but I'm probably going to timestamp some stuff in this video.
Yeah.
So, if you made it this far and didn't see that, sorry. But anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe, comment, share it around.
Like, dislike.
Yeah, all that.
We generally stayed on topic this time, folks.
Yeah, if I would ask one thing. If you dislike, please tell us why.
Yeah.
A couple of our videos have a few dislikes, which, I mean, it's to be expected. 7 billion people on the planet, So.
There's got to be someone that dislikes our videos.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they just don't like our face. I don't know. Faces. We're not a hive mind.
Maybe they don't like bald people.
Could be. They don't like redheads. I don't know. But they didn't. None of them stated why. So if you're going to do that, please tell us why. Please. We would like to know. Even if it's literally you don't like bald people or redheads or whatever.
Yeah, we'd like to know.
Don't like men. I don't know. Whatever.
Don't like how we ramble or how we talk about stuff.
Like this white wall or this phone over here. I don't know.
I've actually had comments about the white wall to my face from people I know saying we should put stuff on that wall.
I've had people ask about the phone. I really need to get back to that guy.
What?
But anyway. They just asked about what kind it was. I need to tell them. But
it is not a rotary dial. There are buttons on it.
No, yeah, it's not an actual rotary. There's buttons. It just looks like a rotary. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you happen to have been one of the unfortunate souls in the path of the recent hurricane, and somehow you're listening to this, stay safe and avoid the floodwaters.
Please do.
Try to, get somewhere safe if you're not there already.
Yes, we hope everyone down around Florida is doing all right.
And I think it's working its way up the coast now.
Ooh, yeah.
I thought it was last I checked, so.
Yeah, try to stay safe, folks, out on the East Coast. Prepare for floodwaters. Listen to evacuation warnings.
Yeah.
And generally try to be safe out there. Nothing is worth your life unless it's the life of a family member to me.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So,
like there is nothing you own except for maybe a pet that you need to put yourself in danger for.
Yeah. It can either be replaced or just look into the fact that you can't. So,
yes.
So, anyway, thank you again for watching, and we will catch you folks later.
Some of that can be edited out.
Some of it will be, don't worry.